Chapter 10 Day in the Sun. When Katya turned 16, I planned a Caribbean cruise for her birthday. I had always wanted to go on a cruise, and when I mentioned my idea to her, she was ecstatic. The cruise would be a first for both of us. We were so excited about it, we even took a Latin dance class at Katya's insistence. As usual, she was the perfect student, and I wasn't half bad myself. A couple of days before we were scheduled to leave, Katya had a few girlfriends over to share some of her chocolate birthday cake. Even though she told them they didn't need to, they brought gifts anyway. She really appreciated their friendship. Kimberly, Allison, and Denise were fellow ballet students, and they sometimes came over to put in a little extra practice with Katya, especially when there was an upcoming recital. While Katya was now finished with school, her friends were entering their junior year, and though they were all the same age, Katya seemed so much more mature. When Katya passed her test, I had asked her if she felt awkward around her friends since they would no longer have school in common. She said no, and if anything, they envied her for being done. Still, the girls knew nothing would ever change Katya, which was why they loved her so much. 2 days later, we flew to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and boarded the ship there. Since we would not set sail until 10 that night, we put our carry-on bags in our room. I had splurged and gotten us both suites right next to each other, and went back off the ship. Then we walked across the street to a pharmacy and bought 2 cases of bottled water to take on the cruise. Since we planned to spend a couple of days in San Juan when we got back, we decided to forego looking around and just went back to the ship. After putting the water in our rooms, we walked away around the ship for a bit, familiarizing ourselves with the layout before heading to the Lido deck to have dinner. There was a grill close to the pool with tables to dine on both sides, as well as a buffet restaurant inside just beyond the grill area. We decided to have a little of both, grabbing a burger and fries from the grill and a salad and dessert from the buffet. We took our food to one of the tables out on deck and ate while listening to a live band playing island music. I glanced over at Katya to find her grinning widely, and I laughed. She was positively giddy. "Are you having a good time, Katusha?" "Definitely, and we haven't even left the port." I laughed again, watching her as she took in everything, a festive feeling surrounding us. "I wish we were not leaving so late. I wanted to watch the deportation, but I guess we will have plenty of other opportunities to do that." "I know, and just think, tomorrow we will wake up in St. Thomas. I'm so excited." "Really? I can't tell at all." I grinned when she gave me her signature smirk. We finished our meal, and Katya grabbed my hand. "Let's go, Angelo. I want to go look in the shop windows." "Already making plans for my money, huh?" She flashed that innocent little smile of hers, and I chuckled. "Oh, all right, let's go." On our way through the pool area, we walked by 2 teenage boys who shot Katya big smiles, and I shook my head, laughing. It had started already. Standing at only 4 foot 4 inches, Katya now had the body of a woman, perfectly toned by years of dance and martial arts. Coupled with her beautiful face and long, thick, curly mane, she was a recipe for whiplash and teenage male heart palpitations, because she definitely turned heads wherever she went. I was sure that when she attended the activities for her age group on the ship, she would not want for company. She was a good judge of character, and I always trusted her to do what was right, and she never let me down. Still, I would have to keep an eye out for the wolf pups on the ship. I chuckled inwardly. If she knew what I was thinking, she would be appalled, and I would get a verbal tongue lashing that I was sure would start with her sassy "Angelo DeLuca." The ship shops would not be open until we were out at sea, so we leisurely browsed the merchandise in the windows. I could see Katya making a mental note of the things she wanted, and I would gladly get them for her. Despite the prominent lifestyle she had been given, Katya was not the least bit spoiled, and she was the most giving youth I had ever known. Sylvia always credited me with parenting success, but I knew Katya came to this earth with an ingrained goodness that only increased as she got older. Later that evening, after our luggage was delivered and we had unpacked, we went out to our assigned muster stations for the safety drill. Since it would not be much longer before the ship departed, we decided to sit out on deck and wait. Then the foghorn sounded and we slowly sailed out. Katya knocked bright and early the next morning. I had just showered and dressed and was running the electric razor over my face when I opened the door. "Good morning, Tesserina. I will only be a moment." "That's okay, I know I'm early." She sat on the couch and waited while I put my shoes on. "Angelo, your hair is still dripping wet." She grabbed a towel and gently dried it. I shrugged, glancing at the wet spots on my shirt. My hair was thick and now hung past my collar. Well, I was trying to hurry because I knew a certain young lady would be eager to go. She grinned and kissed my cheek. "Thank you. Okay, let's go." I chuckled at her impatience and grabbed my wallet and groom key, slipping my camera and passport into her tote bag. "All right, let's go, Miss Adventure Seeker." We went to the buffet and ate a quick breakfast before heading down to the lower level to disembark. The view of St. Thomas from the ship was beautiful, but riding the open-air tour bus around the island was amazing. I perused a brochure that I'd picked up at the small visitor information building. A part of the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas was conquered by the Danish in 1666, and they took complete control in 1672. They divided the land into plantations, and the primary economic activity was sugarcane production. The country became dependent on slave labor and the slave trade during that time. For a while, some of the largest slave auctions in the world were held in St. Thomas, and the Dutch influence was still apparent today. We rode through the narrow mountain roads, snapping photos of tropical plants and trees. As we entered an area with small homes and apartments, the citizens waved and we waved back. The island people were very hospitable, making the tourists feel welcome and at home. The bus driver dropped us and a few others off in the historic district, agreeing to come back and pick us up in a while. We visited Fort Christian, the Historical Trust Museum, the Emancipation Gardens, and toured the St. Thomas Synagogue, taking plenty of pictures along the way. Katya grinned, squeezing my hand as we approached the famous 99 steps. The brochure said it was actually 103 steps. At the top was another set of steps leading to Blackbeard's castle. "Are you ready?" she asked, her eyes dancing, and I laughed. "Lead the way, Teslora." We began our climb. When we reached the top of the second set of steps, we stood at the Danish watchtower known as Blackbeard's Castle. Built in the 1600s, the view from the tower was perfect for anyone spotting enemy ships entering the harbor. The tower was surrounded by a hotel, a pool, and a snack bar. Katya took pictures of the pirate statues as we toured the grounds, and then I took pictures of the view from the top of the tower. A tourist asked if we'd like him to take our picture, and we said yes. We purchased some t-shirts in the castle gift shop, making sure to get a pink one for Sylvia since it was her favorite color. "Was it worth it?" I asked Katya as we made our way back down the steps. "It was." She wrapped her arm around mine. "Thanks." "You're welcome." We caught the tour bus back to the port, stopping for a moment to listen to some live island music. I put a few dollars in a donation can on the ground in front of the group. They gave us a wave of thanks as we walked away. We stopped by a few shops for more souvenirs before going back to the ship. We had dinner in the formal dining room, sharing a table with 6 other people. There were 2 couples and a mother and daughter who were seated next to us. It felt a little strange sharing a table with total strangers, but we weren't strangers for long. Everyone introduced themselves and we got to know each other a little. The woman's name was Kara, and she was a single mother. Her daughter Shaylee was Katya's age. Kara was an attractive woman of average height and build with short, dark hair and pretty brown eyes. Shayla was a younger version of her mother. The girls chatted quite a bit, oblivious to the adults. Since the next day would be a sea day, the girls made plans to spend some time together at Club O2, a club room where teens 15 to 17 participated in fun activities or just hung out. I was happy to see my girl making friends. After dinner, I took Katya to the shop area, but she decided to wait for the sales before she bought anything, to which I responded with a hug, proud of her for being so frugal. After stopping by the rooms for a bit, we went to watch a variety show. We ran into Kara and Shaylee and invited them to sit with us. Kara took a seat next to me and Shaylee sat by Katya. The girls chatted while Kara and I talked comfortably until the show started. It was a magic show, the magician also being a comedian. I was excited because I knew how much Katya loved magic and comedy, and the combination was bound to be good. And he was good. The tricks he performed, along with his comedic timing, had the whole audience roaring with laughter. Wiping my eyes, I glanced at Katya. She was smiling, but not laughing. She was not laughing. "Are you okay?" I whispered, squeezing her hand. She quickly grinned, but it didn't look entirely natural. "Yes, I'm good." "Are you sure?" She nodded, her smile widening. "I am, really." I frequently glanced at her way throughout the performance. She laughed in all the appropriate places, but the mirth that usually filled her beautiful gray eyes was missing. When she caught me looking at her, she wrapped an arm around mine and rested her head on my shoulder. I pressed a kiss to her brow and figured she was probably tired from the full day. After the show, I thanked Kara and Shaylee for sitting with us and wished them a good night. Shaylee told Katya she would see her tomorrow. When we reached our rooms, I asked Katya again if she was okay. She said she was just tired, then she hugged me and kissed my cheek. "Good night, Angelo. See you in the morning." "Good night, Tesserina." I squeezed her hand. "Are you?" "I promise. I'm fine. Promise me you won't worry." I smiled, cupping her cheek. "But that's my job." "And you're so good at it," she said with a smirk, and I chuckled. "All right," I said. "See you in the morning." I watched her close her door and went into my room. As I lay in bed, I pondered Katya's mood, hoping it really was tiredness and that nothing else was wrong. Katya. Katya stood in front of the balcony doors and watched the moon's light reflect off the ocean waves. The day had been perfect. How could she let one remark bring her down and spoil her evening? She shouldn't have even been down. But when Shaylee had leaned over during the show and said, "My mom thinks your dad is hot," something inside her shifted. She didn't like the idea of Kara being attracted to Angelo. Ever since Suzanne broke his heart, Katya had felt protective of Angelo. She didn't want him to ever be hurt again, but she also realized he deserved to be happy. Still, Katya had always felt that Angelo was hers alone, and she was not ready to share him with anyone else. She didn't know if she ever would be. What is wrong with me? She knew she needed to snap out of this and overcome her selfishness, and she would. She would be better tomorrow.